defense block is just straight up embroidery. I'm going to thread my machine with some charcoal gray because the goalpost is going to stitch third in line. It's going to be the first real embroidery. I've loaded a tearaway stabilizer in my hoop. I use a good quality tearaway stabilizer. And then I'm going to just start the machine, and it's going to create a placement line where I can put my backing fabric. So I will start that now. On my background square, I always press a layer, it's a stabilizer by Pellon, called Pellon Shape Flex Fusible Interfacing. And I put that on the back of all my embroidery because it helps prevent puckering and gives you a much better professional look. I'm going to place the background square inside that placement line. I would like you to tape the four corners. I'm not going to do that. And then you just start the button and it will tack the fabric in place. This tack stitch will be removed later. It's a very large link, so it's really easy to take out. Okay, the next part that's going to stitch is the goalpost, and I'm just going to hit the button. Nothing fancy to do with that. I'm just going to lower the press of it, hit the button, and let it go. The next color to stitch out, or the next item to be stitched out on this design, will be the little football that'll stitch down here. So go ahead and change your bobbin and your top thread to a brown, and then just push the button. It's always something when you're recording. I kept wondering what that little funny yellow icon in the middle of my camera was. Now I know my SD card was completely full. Anyway, the football will stitch out. Looks like this. And then I want you to change your thread to white and the bobbin to white so you don't get little brown specks up on top. And it's going to stitch the football stitches. We want that to be really clean. So white bobbin, white top thread. Here we go. Alright, so the last thing that's going to stitch are the letters defense, defense, defense. And I'm going to change my thread and my bobbin thread to red. You want a lot of big full bobbin for this one. It's a lot of stitching. And you're just going to hit the button and let it go. So while this is stitching, I just want to talk to you a little bit about thread. Your husband's probably just like my husband and says, every time I go into a quilt shop, you need more thread? Yes, I need more thread. For this quilt, I used a Floriani red embroidery thread, which was 1085, 1084. I wanted that color throughout my whole quilt. And guys just don't understand it. Let me show you all the thread I have in my house so you'll feel better about your. First of all, this is my cabinet that has all the thread. A lot of it. All these things pull out with different colors of thread. Not to mention I have some down here that don't even fit in the cabinet. I have more thread laying on here, and guess what? Yes, this is a Madeira thread chest with even more thread in it. But that's not all, guys. This is a pile of thread by my sewing machine. This is my cutting table, and I've got thread storage over here. This is Beth's sewing area, and this is where she keeps a lot of her thread. It's our thread, but she keeps some over here too. And guys, this is just the thread upstairs. We have more downstairs. And here's just some regular sewing thread that we hang on the wall. So guys, if your husband's saying you have too much thread, just show him this video and tell him this is what a lot of thread is. And I'm sorry, if you're new to embroidery, you are going to become a thread addict. The very last thing that's going to stitch out is a little green tuft of grass. So change your bobbin to green and your top thread to green and start your machine.